Within the next 24 hours or so, the world will start getting ideas as to who pilots the affairs of the United States of America for the next 4 years. Keenly contested by President Donald Trump of the Republican Party and former Vice President Joe Biden of the Democratic Party, both septuagenarians. As the clock ticks away, who wins America's divisive election 2020? Is Donald Trump set to remain the 45th President of the United States, or will Joe Biden trump him to become the 46th President? Now, this is a question Americans are attempting to answer with their votes. But right here, our guests will be analyzing the possibilities shortly. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Victor Azu. I'm in the studio to deliberate on the U.S. presidential election 2020 is Dr. Ismail Bello. He is of the Department of International Relations and Diplomacy, Bayes University, Abuja. Dr. Bello, a pleasure to have you join us.
Good evening and thank you.
And also on the program is Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu, a political scientist. He joins us via Zoom. Dr. Hamisu, welcome to Nigeria Today. All right, let me begin from here in the studio. Straight to business. What's so special about the U.S. presidential election that the world can't possibly get enough of it?
Thank you, Mr. Victor. As we all know, the United States of America emerged from the Cold War as the most powerful country in the world, after defeating the Soviet Union in the Cold War, and since then it has maintained its hegemonic status. It's also seen as the policeman of the world. It's able to leverage political, economic, and social influence around the world. Hence, the President of the United States of America is of interest to leaders around the world. He or she, or in this case, either President Donald Trump or Biden, will go a long way in shaping U.S. foreign policy, which will also affect other states in the international stand. Hence, everybody around the world is currently watching with keen interest what is happening in the United States of America.
All right, we'll talk more about the foreign policy. Yes. But now let me get on to Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu. Dr. Hamisu, this particular year, talking about the U.S. election, it appears the election has been particularly heated, with Americans deeply divided. Can you explain this?
Well, every politics is about interest, and every human being has an interest to protect. Don't forget the fact that what is playing out today in America is a fight between the globalists as well as the conservatives. For instance, since the coming of President Trump, his foreign policy has been American first. America first, America first, America first. And that has led to a sort of policies that the globalists feel is anti-globalization, upon which the Democrats are known, especially under Barack Obama and Biden. So most Americans that love America and want to see America first and American first are supporting President Trump. And you could say that the far right in America, if we want to describe them as that. So what we're seeing is a clash of interest about those that want more American intervention outside America, so that American power and prestige can continue to dominate the world for the benefit of Americans, as well as those that are supporting Trump to rebuild America. Because most people believe that the problem of unemployment in America is because America, as a source, its responsibilities as a nation that ought to engage in production, distribution, and consumption, so that people can become employed and government can make more money from those activities, rather than embarking on endless wars that are meant to make the world safer for them while losing their loved ones and then expending taxpayers' money without any commensurable return. So it is a clash between those that want the globalist agenda to really continue and those that want America First to continue. In between are those that are pained because of one policy or the other, or what Trump is saying in terms of his tweeting habit.
All right, thank you very much for your opening shot. But let me stay with you, Dr. Abdurrahman Abu-Hamisu, since your connection is smiling at us at the moment. You talked about those who love America. And I ask, supporters have been clashing during campaigns, and there are alleged attacks on campaign, billboards and all of that. Are we beginning to see the Africa in America? Or is this just a low point in America's democracy? Or is it about the love for America, as you put it?
Well, it's a pity. We know that every human being is capable of some actions that are really inimical to the interests of peace. And why democracy is loved all over the world is the ability of democracy and the practice of democracy to preserve peace, tranquility, while people continue to disagree without having to hurt one another. But when that is taken to the extreme, you come to see some level of extremism. And this level of extremism is what is responsible for the frenetic effort by both parties to outdo one another. It is not an Africa thing. The contest for power is always very challenging and difficult. And people can resort to any means available to them because it is human not to lose. We hate losing. And because we hate losing, we resort to self-help. And this self-help philosophy and practice is not only inherent in Africans, it's not only inherent in Caribbeans, it's not only inherent in the Latinos, it's inherent in human nature. Therefore, it is not surprising that this is happening in America. Because as I said, once you leave the realm of argument, conversation, issues around debate, and then you are beginning to move to violence, threat of violence, as well as coercion, you are leaving the realm of democracy. And this is because as far as those that are supporting Trump and what he really represented want to see is that their man carries the day by all means and whatever means possible. And those that are supporting Biden are doing that. So you come to see some level of extremism. And this is expressed in the attack on either human beings or billboards or the snatching of ballot boxes. So if you say America is in the process of becoming a third world country in terms of practice, you are not far from it, because all the human beings are at one point or the other at a primitive stage before civilization. And man continues to move from either civilization to primitive practices or from primitive practices to civilization. So it is not a static thing. So I'm not surprised at all.
Much, Dr. Abdurrahman Abu-Hamisu. Let me get back here in the studio. Dr. Bello, given what we have seen so far, could there be post-election violence in the U.S.? Do you foresee that?
Just as Dr. Hamisu said, it's all about struggle for power. I was watching on the cable news just this morning. Some stores and places of business are beginning to prepare for the possibility of post-election violence. In fact, they had to put like a cupboard, like just to block and protect their shops and stores from vandalization. So it is not ruled out. And we're going to say the president has not helped matters with statements like we're not going to accept the vote if we're not declared the winner. He also stated that today he will be declaring the victory, although he has denied that. So, you know, this rise of far-right politics in the United States of America has not really helped issue about nationalism, not the globalists, as they said, those who push for more interventionist politics around the world, and those who believe no, America should recede and tackle its issue first. So there's a possibility that there might be skirmishes here and there, but not on a very large scale.
Now, I'm curious, 100 million ballots cast before election day.
Yes.
Is this attributable to the character of the two frontliners, or is this sheer awareness on the part of the American people?
The character of the two leading candidates, former Vice President Joe Biden and President Trump. I know there's been this awareness by the Democrat that there's a need to remove the incumbent president through the ballot, and you've seen the increase in mail-in ballot, which has been pushed by the Democrat. In fact, the numbers of the mail-in ballot became an issue for the Republicans, and they had to approach the Supreme Court for it to be voided. Fortunately for the Democrats, it wasn't voided. So it's as a result of enlightenment and the need for a change of government through democratic means.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, we'll go for a short break now, and when we return, the program continues. Just in a moment.
Advertising your goods and services on the right channel gives you an edge over your competitors. NTA News 24 has all the platforms for your target audience. The station is on DSTV channel 419, GoTV channel 46, StarTimes channel 101, and Free TV channel 703. With our digital format and wide range, we can reach your customers in next to no time. We are eager to promote your business, goods, and services. So partner with us for a very rewarding business experience. For more information, please call Henry on 0803-379-0884 or visit our office at NTA Headquarters, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. NTA News 24. News and more news.
Welcome back, and if you've just tuned in, you're right on time. This is Nigeria Today on NTA News 24, and we're discussing the U.S. presidential election 2020. Now, gentlemen, let's bite further into the pie. Now, let me go back to Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu. Who wins the election, Trump or Biden? What do you see so far from your crystal ball?
Well, one interesting thing about American democracy is the fact that you may win popular vote and you may not win the vote of the electors who constitute the electoral college. And that has been very interesting, because in our climate, what we used to have is a popular vote. Once the contestant emerge with highest vote, that marks the end of the entire process. But in the case of America, there is what is called the electors who constitute the electoral college. So, for instance, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but Trump won the electoral college, which made him the president. But the design is such that the candidate that won most of the states is automatically believed to have won the electors, and those electors will have to meet to decide who become the president and the vice president. To the Americans, this is democratic, but to some other persons, this is undemocratic, because democracy is about the will of the majority. And if it is the will of the majority that a candidate has been elected, what stops their own equivalent of our own electoral umpire from declaring the winner? But that is their system. So the electors will have to meet, for instance, in this case, on the 14th of December, to elect the president. So it doesn't matter who wins the popular vote. You may win the popular vote, you may not be elected by the electors. For they know the reasons why they elect who they elect, but as it is, candidate A may lead in some of the states. There are states that are called swing states. These are states that are neither intricately affiliated to Democrats or to Republican. It can swing to any of the party that is fielding candidates. So that has always been tagged as battleground, because most of the states are known historically that they're either with Republican or they are with Democrat. Some of these states are won by, for instance, a state that is known to be a stronghold of Democrat was at a certain point in time lost to Republican. So the Republican stronghold are oftentimes lost to the Democrat. So it all depends on the issues at stake and what the people want, the kind of change they want to see in the system. But the swing states are states that can be taken either by the Republican or by the Democratic Party in America. So this is one of the unique features of their democracy that makes it interesting, to the extent that nobody could really predict how the outcome will be, because the popular vote is at other times a determining factor, at other times again it is not. It is the electoral college. So at this point we could say, okay, Mr. A or Mr. B will win the popular vote, but becoming the president of America is left for the electoral college to do that.
Thank you, Dr. Hamisu, even though you've succeeded in staying neutral. But let me get back here in the studio. Dr. Bello,
Yes.
don't do a Dr. Hamisu.
Yes.
What do you see?
I've been following the trend of the election. It's too close to call. But from the popular vote, I give it to candidate Joe Biden. For electoral vote, as is stated, it is difficult.
But how does this electoral college work?
Basically, it is based on selection, like a delegate-like body that after the majority of people are voted, they still have to sit down and cast their vote.
And these people are known.
They are selected. Yes, they are selected from each of the states. So it is based on who is being nominated, what is his worldview, what is his perspectives on what the candidate is bringing to the table. So I believe, as I said, we've seen the case of Al Gore and Bush. Bush did not win the popular vote, but he won in the electoral college. Barack Obama was lucky to have won both electoral college and the popular vote. We saw Hillary Clinton and President Trump. So for the popular vote, it's going for candidate Biden.
But what do you think is working for Biden?
A lot of things. Rise of the far right.
Certainly not age.
As I said, not age, you understand. Rise of the far right. Some people in the US believe the president has somewhat got too extreme by permitting far right group, so-called domestic groups that are anti-ideals of America, i.e. being globalist and so on and so forth. Then two, handling of coronavirus. We saw a situation whereby, despite being released from the hospital in less than 24 hours, the president went there and said the virus is not a big deal, and so on and so forth. So there are people within the U.S., particularly African American, Latinos, and others, would believe that there is a need for a new man at the helm of affairs. So I think these are the things that are going for candidate Biden.
All right, let me get back to Dr. Hamisu. Dr. Hamisu, would you say, or rather, what would you say is the strong point, or what are the strong points of both candidates in this election, both frontline candidates?
Well, mostly people are judging them based on their antecedents. Trump has been there for 4 years now. Joe Biden was there as deputy or vice to Obama. And during that very particular period, a lot of things were done external to American interests. For instance, the destruction of Syria, the destruction of Libya, in other places like that has become failed states today were done under Obama. And most of the people they sent to do some of these things were troops from America. Some of them are not sent directly, but they provided support. The funds that were used for all of those things were from American taxpayers. So some persons are concerned that if Joe Biden will become president of America, the globalists will take over, and they may likely escalate the war situations more than what we are having now. You have to give something to President Trump. Yeah, you could say it's erratic. Yeah, you could say it's erratic, but he has not gone to war with any country. But he is going to trade wars with China and a couple of other countries. And all he's doing is to protect American interests without having to sacrifice the life of other persons. Some other persons feel that it's clownish to report because it jokes a lot when serious actions are needed according to some other persons. For instance, like the issue of coronavirus and its prescription to treat corona patients in America. And some persons felt it did not do enough to protect American life by saying that the state should not be locked down and that people should go about their businesses. But we must give it to him that he's patriotic about America and he wanted to rebuild America and is using all the persuasion available to him to do that. So these are some of the driving forces that has informed the position both parties have taken in terms of their supporters and what they stand for. So the high point for them is what they represent. And so Biden is being held accountable for some of the decisions that were taken when he was vice to Obama and the destruction of other places outside America. And then Trump is being held accountable for some of his behaviors that are unbecoming of the president of America. So these are the contending issues that has informed decisions across board that is driving their supporters either crazy or to go out there and vote for the candidate they prefer. But whatever happened, we know that rebuilding America and ensuring that American empire subsists, we're dealing with two approaches. One, that of persuasion, threat, and little coercion. And the other one is through outright invasion or support to proxy that could destroy nations as we've seen in Libya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu. We are now gradually going down the wires here with regards to time. So, Dr. Bello, in the event of a Biden victory, which you see well from the popular end of it, what do you think is likely to change with America's foreign policy?
Yes, as I've stated earlier on, unlike Trump, and I need to correct a notion, there's this notion out there that President Trump is anti-war and so on and so forth. The assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, as prompted by Trump, could have, ignited crisis, if not for shuttle diplomacy and backdoor diplomacy by some actors, particularly European countries and other countries that were able to cool down Iran. And we've also seen the support for Trump for Saudi Arabia, and we've seen what has been happening in Yemen. So we can't absolve Trump. So going to your question on Biden, we'll see more American involvement in international relations, more interventionist foreign policy, i.e., making sure they portray America as a strong country, making sure they're able to influence the actions and inactions of other states within the international system. As I said, either through direct military intervention or through coercion. So we see more of intervention basically when Biden comes on board.
All right, thank you very much. Let me do a quick shuttle to Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu. Please consider this your closing remark, but let it be about the interest of Nigeria. Why should this election be of interest to Nigeria?
Well, it has to be of interest to Nigeria because whatever mess will happen in Sahel, especially West Africa sub-region, Nigeria has to be keenly interested in who becomes the president of America, especially as we continue to battle Boko Haram, bandits, and other crimes that are committed in Nigeria. Don't forget the fact that one of the problems that we're facing in Nigeria today was as a result of the destruction of Libya, so that you have small arms and light weapons that are flowing all the way from Yemen to Sudan, down to Libya, even from Libya itself through Chad and Niger to Nigeria. And so if you're talking about insecurity in Nigeria, you cannot separate what we are facing from the killing of Gaddafi and unleashing those forces. So it should be of interest to Nigeria so that Nigeria will have a minimal role to play in terms of stabilizing Africa sub-region, in terms of the foreign policy that will emanate from America.
All right, Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu, political scientist, thank you very much indeed for your perspectives on Nigeria today.
It's my pleasure.
And Dr. Ismail Bello, 10 seconds, will you have your say? What should be Nigeria's interest?
It's all about, as I'm a lecturer of foreign policy. It's all about Nigeria's national interest. Irrespective of whoever emerges, Nigeria should look at how we could benefit from Nigeria-US relation.
Thank you very much indeed. Interesting perspectives. I wish we could go on, but we have to go. Dr. Ismail Bello, Department of International Relations and Diplomacy, Bayes University, Abuja. Thank you again for your insights.
Thank you.
Now, Nigeria Today returns same time tomorrow, 7:30. But you can watch today's program and other editions on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Victor Azu. Many thanks for your company.